So let me first extend a warm welcome to everyone present today, including our distinguished guests. Sanjeev ji is here, Mr. Bagla is here, Pooja Kapoor is about to come, and I think Krishna ji has had a very bad day. He was called for a meeting by the FM, and then while he was on the way here, he told that he's coming. I think his minister has now called him, so probably we will have to do without him now. Also a warm welcome to all the distinguished guests who are there. People here, people there are all equally distinguished. A very warm welcome from all of us here from European Business Group. Also welcome all the European industry and policy partners who are committed to strengthening the Indo-European collaboration. We are in very interesting times, and I was just thinking about it that probably today's environment can be described by 4 T's. One is transformation. There's a huge amount of transformation which is happening. Rapid technological advances, digital innovations, AI, everything trying to bring about a disruption and transformation. The second is turbulence. The second T is turbulence. A lot of turbulence, a lot of wars happening, a lot of geopolitical shifts happening. There's a huge amount of turbulence that is happening. Can anybody guess the third T? Yeah. So the third T is Trump, and the fourth one is related to him, which is tariffs. So this is the scenario that we are in today, and because of this there is a huge amount of change that is happening. Everybody knows it. Most of the policy makers, I think, also must be in deep trouble in terms of thinking as to what is going to happen next from there. They will talk about it in any case. Despite these challenges, I think India's steady growth remains unchanged, which is a very positive factor. We still are the world's fastest growing economy. We are still growing at about 6-7%, take a 0.5% here or there. The European Business Group's annual position paper is another thing which is very stable. For 23 years we have been bringing about these position papers and never missed it even for a year. So there are two things which are stable. The government here in India is stable, the reforms here are coming, and I think the European Business Group is doing its job ably under the leadership of Mr. Raman Sidhu. The unique strength of India's environment lies in its conducive bureaucracy and political will to reform. These position papers provide a guiding light to policymakers shaping decisions that foster a business-friendly landscape. So that is what this is all about. Of course, Ramanji would allude on it further. I think in this time, the bilateral relationship between EU and India is even more essential. With the way things are, with whatever is happening with America, I think even more important that it has always been important. We have always been good trading partners, but I think it is even more important. When Europe's cutting-edge technology meets India's immense talent, another two T's, technology and talent, the potential could be transformative. Combining Europe's technology prowess with India's innovative talent can create a synergy to serve not just regions, but the entire world, addressing global challenges and pioneering sustainable solutions in digital, green and critical technologies, setting standards in innovation while boosting mutual prosperity. So that is the setting of today's position paper release, where we are all here gathered to look at the year-long efforts of European Business Group, which puts together these papers. I would first like to call Mr. Raman Sidhu for his opening remarks.
Thank you all. And once again, a very warm welcome from me as well. Rajiv has by now, all the T's he's used must have quite tripped you all. And his wisdom on Trumperism. Well, it's a great pleasure to welcome you all on this, I would call a significant occasion, the release of EBG's 23rd consecutive annual position paper. We did not miss any of the COVID years for the people who may not be aware. And 2 more to go, and we will be doing the 25th in the not too distant future. This paper presents the collective insights and experiences of our corporate members operating in India across diverse sectors and services. And it serves as a reflection of both the progress achieved over the years and the challenges that still remain, including particularly ease of doing business. Whatever the government may say, it's still a major area of hiccups. Over the past year, India has continued to strengthen its position as a global investment destination with initiatives including digitalization, regulatory reforms and infra development that have opened up a new opportunity for collaboration and innovation. EBG position paper builds on this narrative by offering sector-specific perspectives from manufacturing and energy. I'll pause for a moment. A warm welcome to Vijay Kapoor. So initiatives in digitalization, regulatory reforms, infra development that have opened up new opportunities for collaboration and innovation. EBG's position paper builds on this narrative by offering sector-specific perspectives from manufacturing, energy, to finance and banking, healthcare, technology, etc. Highlighting where policies are driving growth and where further alignment, particularly engineered by the government, could enhance competitiveness. We have added a new chapter this year to the position paper, CSR and sustainability. There was a lot of requests from our members, and we have made it the 17th sector paper. I wish to extend our collective gratitude to policymakers, ministries and others who have engaged constructively with us through this process. The dialogue between the government and industry remains the cornerstone of India's journey towards becoming an even more attractive and transparent business environment. EBG remains committed to facilitating this ongoing dialogue by fostering trust, transparency, and understanding between foreign direct investment into the country and regulators. I duly acknowledge the dedicated efforts of our sector committee members. A lot of them are all present here, our knowledge partners, and our secretariat for their contribution to bringing this position paper to fruition. Their work and effort ensure that what we present today is not only data-driven, but also reflective of the real-world experiences on the ground in Viksit Bharat. Thank you for being here, finding time. We've had our hiccups, as I explained about Mr. Krishna, despite all his efforts. The monthlies finally had their way. I would just like to make a few announcements. We have in the process of completely changing our website. So look out for that. It will be, the new website will be up and running in the first week of December. We have added, this is very important, and I will go you for a few minutes, added a number of very good new members in this year. Standard Chartered Bank, Saab Group of Sweden, British Telecom, Bharat Group, IDH Trade Netherlands, Carlsberg Asia, TRC Consultant with their partners, etc. A warm welcome to these new members, and the membership continues to grow, which is very heartening for us. I'm happy to share with you one very important thing, that the budget 2025 included 6 of our recommendations, which was made in December 2024 at our interactive discussion with the finance ministry. And that is the highest figure. The previous year there were 2, the year before that there were 3. So our suggestions are fortunately being taken seriously by the government. With that, I would like to end So thank you once again for coming, and I will pass this back to Rajiv. Over to you.
For giving us a brief of what the position papers are all about and the kind of impact that they are having on the government. It is the strength of our members which makes this happen. So thanks to all of you for making this happen. So before we move ahead, we would now be giving the floor to some of the bureaucrats who are here, understanding their views about what is happening. And we will start with Pooja Kapoorji, who is the Additional Secretary, Ministry of External Affairs. So Ambassador Pooja Kapoor is a distinguished diplomat and a dedicated public servant currently serving as Additional Secretary, Northern Europe in the Ministry of External Affairs. So she would have her hand on the pulse. With a career spanning nearly 3 decades, she has held key diplomatic positions including India's ambassador to Denmark, Bulgaria and North Macedonia, a scholar of Oxford and Paris École Nationale d'Administration. She is renowned for her sharp strategic insights, leadership in multilateral affairs, and commitment to fostering India's global partnerships. Her expertise in European affairs, coupled with her role in strengthening India's relations across the Indo-Pacific and beyond, makes her a vital voice in shaping India's international diplomacy. Welcome, Ms. Kapoor, and the floor is yours. Can we remove one of these seats, please? Mr. Krishnan's, this thing I think can be removed.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Mr. Raman Sidhu, Chairman EBG, distinguished colleagues on the panel and beyond, esteemed members of the business community, ladies and gentlemen. I'm delighted to be here with you this evening. Let me begin by complimenting the EBG Federation on the good work that they have been doing, and especially congratulating on all those recommendations actually finding their way into policy papers of the budget. And also special congratulations on the launch of this year's ideas in the 23rd annual position paper. This is the right time to speak about Europe, a continent that we all know quite well, which is also an important pole in the multilateral global order, and which, given the uncertainties and the flux in today's world, presents itself as a vital and stable partner for India going forward. Europe is the world's second largest economy, with a GDP of about 20 trillion US dollars, a population of about 750 million, and an average per capita of about 35,000 US dollars. Of course, that's a bit misleading because you have companies which are near more than $100,000 mark. Including some of the countries that I represent or in terms of interactions in Scandinavia. Well, 2 of the European countries belong to the Peace 5, the permanent 5 of the UN Security Council. 4 of them are members of the G7, and about 30 of the 32 NATO members are from Europe. The European Union is, of course, at the core of Europe, with 27 member states, constituting a formidable trading bloc. 20 of these have adopted the euro, and we have 29 countries which form part of the Schengen area, a line borderless travel. European companies are pioneers in strategic sectors such as nuclear, space, biotech, digital and clean technologies. They're also leaders in developing sustainable solutions in heavy industry. For India, Europe is a major partner in trade, investment, technology, and innovation. India is the fastest growing large economy, as you all know, and is increasingly perceived by Europe as a valuable partner for developing diversified and resilient supply chains, and also to help scale technologies that they produce for manufacturing and selling to the rest of the world. It is also a primary source of global talent for Europe, which is facing a workforce and skill crunch. The growing convergence in global context are leading to a much increased frequency of high-level interactions between India and Europe. So in the last 2 years, we've had at least 30 visits at the level of head of state or government. We've had 50 foreign ministerial visits and at least 100 other ministerial visits. Engagement has gone beyond the traditional West Europe to now include North, Central and Southern Europe. For the first time ever this year, we had the entire EU College of Commissioners, which is like the EU Cabinet, come here with Commission President Ursula von der Leyen. And the very high level engagement with the European Union will continue over the coming months. Economic engagement, which all of you here represent, is the mainstay of India-Europe ties. I will throw a few facts and figures at you. I personally think it always helps in setting the scene. So trade in goods is about 190 billion, out of which we export about 100 billion US dollars of exports. Trade in services is about $100 billion, in which again our exports are about $60 billion, and the balance is in our favor. But we can do a lot more. FDI in Europe is about $165 billion, while Indian FDI in Europe is increasing and it's already hovering about the $75 billion mark. We have 7,000 European companies operating in India, many of you are members of the EBG, and we have about 1,500 Indian companies in Europe. The Indian diaspora in Europe is also becoming a force to reckon with. The numbers around 3 million now, with about 250,000 students. And this growing pool of professionals and of students is further strengthening the people-to-people and business-to-business linkages that we enjoy. The government's had a lot of focus on facilitating trade in recent times. So you have had 2 FTAs with Europe. One is with the UK, and the second is with the EFTA countries, which is Norway, Iceland, Switzerland, and Liechtenstein. And we do hope that the highly anticipated India-EU FTA will be finalized over the coming months. In addition, we also have something called the Trade and Technology Council with the European Union. India is the only country other than the US which has this dialogue with the EU, which discusses things like semiconductors, quantum computing, AI, supply chains, green energy, etc. Another new aspect is connectivity. I mean, we've always been connected, but there's a renewed focus on enhancing this connectivity. And one of the key things we're looking at is something called the India, Middle East, Europe Economic Corridor, or IMEC. New areas of collaboration have opened up rapidly, and we see a lot of interest in the green transition. And having come from Denmark, which we have a green strategic partnership, I think there's something of particular interest to me personally. So areas like green hydrogen, green ammonia, green steel, green cement, green shipping, logistics, corridors, and sustainable aviation fuels are some of the areas that we can look at. Another area very important going forward is defense industrial collaboration. This is supported by the liberalization of the FDI regime in India, but also the rearming of Europe. And there are enormous opportunities to be seized in this. We have had the Tata Airbus collaboration in Vadodara to manufacture the C-295 military aircraft. We have Saab coming up in Jhajjar, Haryana, to produce the Carl Gustav Mk4 weapon systems as the first fully FDI-owned production facility in defense in India. And the list will surely rapidly increase. Another thing that we notice is European tech companies increasingly basing their global capability centers out of India. So while India is open for business, we invite European companies to deepen their engagement with us Together we can drive growth in sectors ranging from renewable energy to sustainable infrastructure, to advancing, to advance manufacturing and new and cutting-edge digital technologies. And together we can co-create solutions not only for India, but for the world. India and Europe are like-minded partners with open, democratic and diverse societies. Both represent large open market economies with considerable convergences of interest. Going forward, India's expanding global footprint will intersect more and more with that of Europe. The India-Europe strategic partnership will have growing relevance and consequence, not only for our two regions, but also for the global economy. So we would all be well advised to seize this moment to strengthen our collaboration for mutual benefit by building bridges of trade, of technology, of tourism, and of talent, to ensure that the India-Europe partnership becomes a cornerstone for sustainable and inclusive growth globally. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Ambassador Kapoor, for giving us insights as to what is happening with the Indo-EU relationships. As we've said, the strength has always been there and probably the need now is even more. So we will see probably the two sides having more relationships as we go ahead. I see in the audience Monica Rawat and Prashant Tripathi. Would you please come upstairs to felicitate Mrs. Kapoor with a token of appreciation? So Monica Rawat is Head of Government Affairs, Standard Chartered, and Prashant Tripathi is General Manager, External Affairs, Pernod Ricard. Sanjeet Singh ji is a seasoned senior advisor at Niti Aayog, specializing in trade and commerce, economic and finance policy, and international strategic cooperation, including G20 engagements, and Indian Revenue Services Officer since 1991. He brings deep expertise in trade policy formulation and implementation, particularly in special economic zones and East Asia regional cooperation. His notable tenure includes shaping India's flagship rural roads program, Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana, enhancing connectivity for over 178,000 villages nationwide with advanced academic credentials from St. Stephen's and École Nationale Administration in Paris, coupled with experience across income tax, commerce, rural development, and telecom regulation. Mr. Singh stands as a visionary leader driving India's economy, policy making, and global partnerships. Sanjeet ji, the floor is all yours.
Thank you, Rajiv. Thank you so much for making me feel so old. I really not such a long list of stuff which you think I've done. So, Raman, you see that a lot of effort has gone into it. You mentioned 17 chapters. Honestly, I did not read the 17 chapters. But what I've actually done is been able to go in for a couple of important areas which I would like to highlight with your permission. And I'm sure when I will share them, you will all find that there is a lot of business opportunity for each person here and more. In fact, honestly, when I was reviewing the recommendations of the EBG's report, which one was kind enough to give me a sneak peek, it looked like my daughter's wish list. They were long, ambitious, and filled with requests for more technology and less paperwork. So, but fortunately, unlike my daughter's most of her wishes, they haven't seen much of chance of coming true. But I'm sure this excellent report has got a very strong chance of being delivered. So let's jump right in. So India and Europe are just more than just old friends. We are in fact, we'll have to say, co-authors of an economic story. And the last year alone, European companies have invested about $153 billion in India and generated billions of jobs, confirming that our business relationship is not just strong, but absolutely essential and growth on both sides. So we have a strong trade relationship, in fact, with European Union, and it is our largest trading partner, over $136 billion. And I can assure you that concluding the India-EU FTA is not just a rumor. It is a reality in the making, and that will definitely open new pathways for prosperity for both the regions. On the issue of ease of doing business, India is making doing business smoother than ever, and I can hear a lot of groans saying that where do we see it? But believe me, a lot of backbreaking effort is going on. I am lucky that I could be here at the persuasion of Mr. Raman. Otherwise, we have really all-nighters happening at my office at Niti Aayog, which is leading the high-level committees on reforms. And every week there is a presentation. So there is a lot of work, serious work, which is going into pushing for single window digital portals. Why it can't be done? So everybody, all the ministries have to really answer why they cannot make their processes simpler. So approvals and compliances are actually meant to be a very simple process. So the question being asked to the various ministries, and we on behalf of the PMO are asking these questions, why are you not able to do it? And then wherever any ministry falters, we step in and say, this is how we do it. And the happy part is, there are a very strong contingent from the private sector, represented not just by the FICCI and CII and the Big Four. There are a lot of people from the private sector who are participating in these discussions. We have a number of delegations which visit us regularly, and those engagements are really producing very good results. One example, of course, those reports are not public, but the effects are public. So a lot of people speak about the various QCOs which have suddenly been scrapped. That was one of the very immediate impacts which got happening. There has been also a focus on decriminalization. So why offences should be retained in the statute books. So as many as 180 outdated laws have been scrapped in 2023, and the Bill 2.0 is taking it further by replacing various jail terms with civil penalties, making compliances less scary, I'm sure. Plus the new Income Tax Act 2025 simplifies everything, and with targeted PLI schemes and easier FDI norms, India's business climate is more open, innovative, and welcoming than ever. Ramanji mentioned about sustainability. Now, sustainability is India's new growth engine. With $18 billion earmarked for green energy, and the green hydrogen emissions budget has been doubled, India is on track to produce 5 million metric tons of green hydrogen by 2030. And this is enough to replace about $12 billion in fossil fuel imports annually. So these are big moves like sovereign green bonds, rooftop solar boosts, and fresh battery tariffs. These are all turbocharging India's net zero journey by 2070. And here I would like to, in fact, also mention that the pathways to net zero will soon be announced before the end of the year. And that again is hosted at Niti Aayog. A good friend and colleague of ours, mine and Deepak's, is participating in that, and they are also working very hard to really put down a very clear pathways. And as soon as the pathway is made public, you will see that there are a number of business opportunities, both for Indian and European companies, to come together to really take advantage of this. Because Europe has a lot of strengths in clean tech. So we would really ask you to have a look at that. Similarly, there is a strong push for nuclear energy. India has declared that we are going to be going for 100 gigawatts of nuclear energy in the next 10 to 12 years. Again, a massive opportunity for a large number of companies to really step in and come and participate in the supply chains, in the entire process. There is much to be gained. Talking about the digital transformation, so India's digital surge is nothing short of a blockbuster, like typical filmy movie, Hindi movies. It's bold, it's massive, and it reaches every corner. With over 944 million broadband connections and internet access, which hits nearly 70%, India is one of the fastest growing digital economies globally. Last year, about 1,800 global capability centers churned out about $390 billion in service exports. They are powering startups and leaderships on the world stage. Many of you must have heard about the strong push to fintechs. We had a very global fintech festival with Honorable Prime Minister had participated in Mumbai. There's a very strong thrust how we can really fire up and become global leaders in fintechs. And here, Europe and India and companies, both these countries can really partner to really gain. Another area you can look at is data centers. We have already large companies who have shown interest. In fact, day before yesterday I was at a conference where they asked me to speak on data centers. And we had Amazon warehousing services, you got Google already announcing it, and then large number of Indian companies are also riding this very fast moving train. So I invite many of the European companies who are somehow linked to this to come forward and really use this. India is coming out with a very clear data center policy which will really facilitate this whole process. So big government moves like AI research funding, BharatNet fiber rollout and digital education hubs are igniting entrepreneurship from cities to villages. A few universities from the UK and from other parts of Europe are opening up their offices in India. So there is a huge growth opportunity even there. And lastly, I would like to touch upon what has been mentioned in the report, which is about sectoral reforms and growth. So India's growth engine is actually firing on all cylinders, and I'd like to mention that we have been having a sustained growth of 6 to 8%, or rather 6.8% to 8% over the past many years now. Here I would like to share something which will probably touch a positive chord, that is democracy. Many people undermine the importance of this very. India has been a stable democracy for the past 78 years. And if you look at the recent track record, for the past 30 years, 3 decades, we've had governments which have lasted their full 5-year terms, whether it's a single party or a coalition government. Similarly, in states, there has been stability, and that is really pushing this drive of investments to come into many states. At Niti Aayog, we always talk about cooperative federalism, but at the same time, competitive federalism. So we say our UP has to compete with Tamil Nadu, and similarly, Tamil Nadu has to compete with Maharashtra. In data centers, 50% are in Maharashtra. Now, other states want to grab the pie. So they are really projecting that, look, we have a stable polity, we have an efficient administration, we have land, we have water, we have electricity. So please demand, as entrepreneurs, as people, please do demand this from the government, demand this from the state governments, and it is there. So if you just look at about a record 6.5 lakh crore, which is about $32 billion, which have been pumped into modernizing Indian railways, and a 14% jump in auto exports, it's clear that we are not just cruising, we are really accelerating it now. Landmark allocations of 11.2 lakh crore, which is about $135 billion for infrastructure in FY 25-26, means smoother roads, better rails and logistics that work. I was listening to Ramanji and I was asking about whether UK is a partner in EBG. So he said yes. So we just recently concluded year 1 of the UK-India International Financing Bridge, of which I am the convener. So in that, we have identified so many opportunities for European companies to come and participate, not only in just building roads, but investors to come and invest in stable, long-term returns. 30,000 kilometers of Indian roads, brownfield projects are going to be available in the next couple of months. The list is going to be out. You can look at them, encourage the large investors to actually come and participate in these projects to really have a very meaningful relationship with the India's infrastructure sector. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to end by saying that as we celebrate the launch of this paper, let's remember that India-European Alliance is a story of big numbers, big ideas, and even bigger dreams. If these recommendations are carried forward, the ease of doing business will not just be a slogan, it will be our daily reality. Thank you very much, and may we all have a promising year ahead, just like these recommendations. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Sanjeev ji. I think he mentioned that our list of asks has increased. If this year, instead of 6, 10 of our recommendations go through, probably the list will become longer. But otherwise, we have always maintained that we should only ask for things that are doable. And we actually do not do something which is a laundry list. And I think what has emboldened us probably is the sensitivity of the bureaucracy over the last decade or so, where they are actually listening. They are always sensitive and they wish to make the changes that are required to be made. So thanks a ton to all of you. I think we should have a big round of applause for all of them. And Niti Aayog has always been a very patient listener for all of us. We've had several discussions at Niti Aayog which were not pertaining to specific ministries, but we wanted certain things that should happen. We went to Niti Aayog, and I think they have taken ahead the process with the concerned ministries. So thank you so much, Sanjeev ji. To felicitate Sanjeet Singh ji, we have with us Mr. Bhaskar Sharma, former CEO of Red Bull and board member of EBG, and Vinod Bapna, Chief Executive Officer, Caparo Engineering. Do we have Vinod Bapna here? No. So we have Manish Bawa from Nangia, Anderson, India. Niti Aayog. With a distinguished career spanning banking, investment promotion and policy leadership, Mr. Bagla brings a unique blend of strategic insight and operational excellence to this pivotal role. Formerly the Managing Director and CEO of Invest India, he played a transformative role in making India a global investment destination and championing initiatives like Startup India and One District, One Product. Under his leadership, Invest India earned global recognition as the world's most awarded investment promotion agency. As Mission Director of Atal Innovation, Mr. Bagla leads India's flagship innovation and entrepreneurship initiative at a critical juncture, driving inclusive growth and positioning India at the forefront of global innovation, aligned with the Honorable Minister's vision of a developed and innovative India. And I think innovation is the key for India to go ahead if we want to become Viksit and if we want to become Vishwa Guru. I think that is something that needs to happen at a much faster pace. So let us hear from him as to what has he got to say. Mr. Bagla.
it feels good to be back home. And I'll tell you why I say that. But before that, Ma'am Pooja, always good to see you. I remember we spent some time when there was a senior state level visit to Denmark, and she did a remarkable job steering all of us to work on that one. And Raman is the 23rd, big one, well done. And Sanjeev, my senior, I must tell you, I've got two seniors from college here, so I've been properly behaved in front of them. And I was telling you why it's a pleasure to be back home, because this association has been very long. My previous lifetime, the lifetime before that, was as a private equity person. And my co-sponsor at that time was 3i, the British, UK private equity fund. And at that point of time is when we joined the EBG. So it's over now a decade. And that's why I say they're old friends, they're good friends, they're all familiar faces. Sir is here, who was there from the banking world. Mr. Agarwal is there, whom I worked very closely at one point of time, and many others. So it's always good to be back here. Raman, if I may take the liberty of saying, I haven't gone through the report, but I read your speech, which you said. Now this has 17 verticals. I remember when we were in West India, it's definitely one of our biggest areas, and at that time we had interaction across 23 sectors. It had grown from 14 to 23 sectors during a short period of time from 2015 to what I would say would be around 2022. So it's an association which goes back, and if I look at it, it's probably the oldest association we have as a trade partner, if I may remember right. It goes back a few centuries. I don't remember exactly century, but somewhere there. For what I will allude to this point, I'll come back later, and that is what we call was the defining decade, and is the defining decade of India when I look at 2014 to 24. And that's where we've seen these remarkable changes. But I must tell you, today I'm day 114 in this job. I didn't know what it was when I joined. I remember when Mr. Kant got to know, and this was about a week before I took over, he called me and said, "Bahut kaam hai isme, aur ye bahut bada hai." So I told him, "Sir, I'll take time and come and understand what it is." But let me give you one instance for what it is in my day 114. We wanted to check what is the power of this platform. This platform was launched by the Honorable Prime Minister in 2015. And his view was to make this the entity which is going to be responsible to bring innovation, to identify areas, to create that ecosystem wherever there are gaps, to fill that in, and to take it forward. Today it is the world's largest grassroots innovation mission. From school to space. And I'll tell you what happened. I thought I'd just understand what this platform is about and how powerful it is. So about a month ago, I asked the team, let's run a hackathon. And they told me it's not a good time because, pre-boards ho rahe hain, bachcho ki tayari ho rahi hogi. Diwali vacations have come in already. Let's do it later. I said, well, let's try and do it anyway. The hackathon was announced. I don't think many of you knew about it because there was no advertising. Just a little on the social media, we reached out to schools. I'm just trying to tell you, yesterday the hackathon was closed when all the registrations had to come in. I just got this. Let me tell you what this was about. 343,222 schools registered. 985,386 teachers registered. 2.48 million students have registered, and already the prototypes which have come in are 218,561. The Guinness Book of World Records is stating this to be the world's largest hackathon. And I'll tell you what really got to me. Over the weekend on the Saturday, I was sitting in my puja. I got a call 3 times and I had the phone next to me. I didn't answer it. It was an unknown call. I finished the puja. I called back that number. It was a young kid from Bhiwandi. He was a 9th standard student who one found my number. Look at it, way these kids can do it, new generation. Who called me and said he was from a small government school there, near a village. He said, "Sir, मेरी problem ये है कि मेरे पास 3 idea है, मेरा teacher कह रहा है कि सिर्फ एक दे सकता है." You know, guys, this is a movement which is taking place in India today. This movement is bottom up. It's been driven and led by an idea of a person who brought it in. But this movement is the one which is now going to define India. And let me just tell you, last week, 4 kids from a small government school in South India were shortlisted and went to Panama for the Global Robotics Championship. They were shortlisted from India. They came from very humble beginnings. Parents is a housekeeper in a hotel. Very few of them knew how to speak English. They didn't have money for the ticket. They were in Panama. They are solving solutions which are at a completely different level. And the reason why I bring that is that of your 17 verticals, the one we need to add is the vertical of innovation. Innovation is now the new bridge which is going to bring EU and the rest of the world close to us and we to them. I'll give you an example of what we are. Today we have these small little tinkering labs, we call them, innovation labs, in 10,000 schools. Many of you in this room have partnered with us to create those. About half of them are in a government school, half of them are in a private school. We are now adding 50,000 new schools in the next 24 months. This mission already is one of the single largest owners of incubators in the world, but I'll tell you what I liked about our incubators. Out of the 72, 73, 14 of them are in small towns and cities. They're not looking to be listed on a stock exchange and become a unicorn in financial terms. They are working to become a unicorn in social terms. They want to touch 1 billion lives. And they're running some amazing things there, because I know one which was in South India near Udupi, and one of the examples they brought to us was this incubator which is incubating their local people working with the women's self-help group. You know, the jackfruit. It's supposed to be a wonderful now. And it's very interesting that if for the first 45 days you can use the pulp of the jackfruit as the vegetarian meat. From 45 to 60 days we use the bulb and the seeds, and those bulb and seeds are very good for blood sugar in your heart. Did any of you know that? Mm-hmm. You did. Now you know what they're doing. There is this young little kid from there who's come up with a small little device which is run through an AI, which is on the jackfruit tree and tells you which day you can pluck it for what. Mm-hmm. It has changed the lives of the women around that place. You know what they're doing now? They're taking it, they're bottling it, they're marketing it. And it is now one of the fastest increasing export products out of India. It is amazing the kind of work which is happening here. And the interesting thing, it is coming from every small little village, town, city of India. From school to space. This is where this mission is working. And I mentioned to you about the defining decade. I'll come back to that, because that is what happened at one of, it was not just you, but it was a number of other investors. And I remember we had gone to Davos 3 years ago, and there was a round table of 18 global investors. And I mentioned this earlier. These were private equity large investors. And one of them had said that they're going to do a 2x of their investment in India in the next 24 months. And the other one asked him why. And this private equity fund is already in 23 countries. And he said it's the only country where every tomorrow is better than today. And this defining decade, which I bring to you from 2014 to 24, is not just about your GDP. It's not just about moving from number 11 to number 5, and in the next 6 months moving to number 4, in the next 14 months maybe moving to number 3. I think it is more than that. And this was a discussion which was happening at one of the European ambassadors' place, and they were asked to define India in 3 terms, 3 words. And the words which came out to be were resolute, resilient, relentless. A resolute leader, a resilient nation, and both working with a relentless leader. And you know, in a world which we are moving into, where everything is possible but nothing is certain, think about that statement for a minute. Everything is possible, nothing is certain. And in that world, when you live in that level of uncertainty, the only thing that stays with you is resolute, resilient, relentless. And I think every investor has picked up on those 3 elements where they're looking at India to see where their future lies. And add to that what I spoke to you about, my youngsters in my application. And we are having some very interesting partnerships. How much time do I have? 5 minutes? Raman is saying it's time. That's his polite way of saying it's time to move for dinner. But I'll tell you one last thing. And let me leave you with an example. Sanjeev spoke to you about the digitization. And to my mind, that is one biggest factor in our history in the past 3,000 years, which has brought us to this point where we are now looking to be the next superpower. But I'll give you a small little element, and this is why I'm giving it to you, because all over here are from the world business. The magic of India is the magic of cost curves. What do I mean by cost curves? Whenever we have the scale, because of which the price drops dramatically, look at your data, you're looking at anything. I'll give you one instance, and since you're from Standard Chartered, and since you're a banker, let me show that. I remember when I was in banking, and I left banking in 2007, but I think all the way up to 2015. The core element of banking and anything which you do, even when you buy from Flipkart, there's somebody which does a KYC on you and quickly comes back to you to give you an OTP, right? It takes a few seconds before you do it. The core element of everything which you can take forward is a KYC, know your client. In 2014-13, the cost of doing a KYC, you want to take a guess? What was it? So it was 1,250 rupees to do a KYC. You were right. And 2007, when I left banking, it was 2,000 rupees. You know what is the cost today in India? 15 paisa. Are you understanding the way things are changing around us? Do you see the power of that KYC, what it is going to unleash in our daily life? You can lend to an MSME, you can borrow, you can even lend to each other based on the KYC if there's a platform. The power of that cost curve, you brought it down to 15%. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now just nearing our inflection point. And what is that inflection point? This is my last one. before you get impatient. Look at when did we start hearing of China? 2008, 2009. That's when we started talking more and more about it. It was right in the center of the plate. Why did that happen? From 2008 until 2016, China added $1 trillion to its GDP every year. You know that big inflection point? That came in well. We had a GDP in 2014 of about $2.5 trillion. From 2014 to now, our GDP today is $4.5 trillion. In $2 trillion, we moved 250 million people above the poverty line. Your fourth trillion you will have by next year, which is about 4.5 years since the third trillion. Your fifth trillion will be in 3 years. Your sixth trillion will be in 2.5 years. Your eighth trillion on, you will do 1 trillion every year. You will all be alive in this room to see that inflection point when it takes off. And at that time, remember, the one who will really take it on are my young kids from the Atal Innovation Mission. So if any of you want to join hands with us and see a part and be a part of the biggest change which has ever happened on human earth, let's do it together. Thank you.
So thank you so much. I think Deepak has that art of bringing hope to everybody. I am sure there is as much happening in the Atal Innovation Mission that you've talked about. Of course, I am somehow many times super critical about our education system, but we'll leave it to some other time. I think it is good that we are looking at some of these things. Atal Tinkering Labs, I think, came up about 8-10 years back when they started coming into schools. We have children who might have used all of these things where they do things with their hands. But somehow in our education system, we even try to game that. We'll have to probably create a narrative which is very different. Deepak, I think that is something that we need to do as well on the education front. So thank you so much for that enlightening words that you shared with us. I would like to now call Mr. Sanjay Rishwood, CEO and Resident Director, Getzner and Board Member, EBG, and Rishi Chawla, Vice President, Corporate Affairs, Carlsberg, Asia, for felicitating Mr. Deepak Bagla. And now I think, can we get the position papers up here? There's some innovation in the way the position papers are packed this year. Raman said we shouldn't be taking off covers. hours of work which goes into this, because we have sector committees, we have people on those sector committees, they meet 3-4 times a year. Then we have our knowledge partners who help us. So it's really a lot of work which goes into this. So I think it's time that we should also celebrate this with those who have been involved here. I will hand the mic to Rhythm to call on stage people for a group photograph with the position paper.
Sanjay Rasboot, Bhaskar Sharma, Mohan Kakure. Gallery, Kersi Hilu, Sarpreet Benipal, Sanjay Rasboot, Bhaskar Sharma, Mohan Kakure. Sponsors for tonight, Monica Rawat, Standard Chartered, Prashant Tripathi, Pernod Ricard, Vinod Kumar Babra, Kaparo Engineering, Mayank Singh, JW Marriott, Rishi Chawla, Carlsberg, Manish Bawa, Nangia Anderson, Bharat Dhawan, Fergus Mazars. Sector chairs or people nominated on behalf of sector chair: Siddharth Banerjee, Chairman, Alcoholic and Non-Alcoholic Beverage Sector Committee; Monica Rawat, Chairperson, Banking Sector Committee; Dr. Bhaskar Chatterjee, Chairman, CSR and Sustainability Committee; Dr. Satyan Gupta, Chairman, Digital Transformation Sector Committee; Colonel Sarpreet Benipal, Chairman, Financial Services Sector Committee; Kanchana TK, Chairperson, FMCG Sector Committee; Ravi Walia, Chairman, Medical Devices and Healthcare Sector Committee; Sanjay Rasboot, Chairman, Railway Sector Committee; Shikha Seth, on behalf of Amit Sinha, Chairman, Retail Sector Committee. Representatives nominated on behalf of our knowledge partners from Deloitte, EY, Grant Thornton, Nexton and TMF. Ashish Kasat,
Should some of us come?
Vishek Chandak, Ramendra Verma, Mohan Nair, Shruti Gala, Pawan Khatta, Nayan Nek, Asim Punya, Ronit Chawla, Gokul Chaudhary, Saloni Rai, Bhupendra Singh, Ranjit Singh, Sangeeta Dawar.
Thank you.
Can I have a very big round of applause, please? Now I would like to call upon Mr. Ravi Walia, Director, Government Affairs, Medtronic and Board of Director, EBG, for giving word of thanks.
Time. As we conclude this momentous occasion today, the release of the 23rd annual position paper of EBG, as Ramatji says, non-stop for 23 years, even during COVID. It is my honor to extend a heartfelt vote of thanks on behalf of the European Business Group Federation. We are deeply grateful to our distinguished guest speakers, Shrimati Pooja Kapoor, Shri Sanjeet Singh Ji and Shri Deepak Bagna, for sharing their invaluable insights and perspectives. Your contributions have added depth and relevance to today's discussions. A lot of information about the data, right? India, EU, trade, potential opportunities, and so much so and so. Also to our chairman, Mr. Raman Singh Sidhu, and all our board members, thank you for all your continued leaderships and commitment to strengthening the India global trade between India and Europe through the investment corridor. A special word of appreciation to Rajiv Gupta ji, whose always guidance and dedication has always helped us in shaping this event. We also extend our thanks to all our supporting partners who make this happen: Standard Chartered, Pernod Ricard, Kaparo Engineering, JW Marriott, Medtronic, Red Bull, Carlsberg, Getzner, Nangia Anderson, and Fergus Mazars. Your partnership reflects the shared vision and collaborative spirit that drives EBG forward. Also grateful to our knowledge partners and all our stakeholders. Thank you for your presence and engagement. Your continued support is the backbone of our success. A big thank you to the EBG Secretariat, Rhythm and the staff of Lee Meridian for their impeccable execution. Finally, Mr. Bhata, the 17th vertical of innovation. 18th, sorry. We are sure that by 25th year when we celebrate in 2027, we'll certainly make sure that innovation and some of those from the innovations from your team will certainly make it here, and we'll try and see that it becomes a part of that. Finally, to each one of you who joined us, thank you for being part of this today's evening. We look forward for more engagements and more impactful sessions. Have a wonderful evening, and the bar is open. Thank you very much.